Distinguished attendees, thank you for joining our webinar entitled Logistics Jamaica, Creating Flexibility in Your Global Supply Chain. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to discover how Jamaica and DP World may support your global supply chains. Supply chains are the arteries of today's globalized economy. They enable the international trade flows that empower global trade. Supply chains have evolved into worldwide, interconnected supply and demand networks with profound interdependencies, amongst which logistics is the glue that connects, enables, and empowers the ecosystem. I am Lawrence, a trade and investment promotional specialist at JAMPRO, with over 10 years experience marketing Jamaican logistics services to European companies, as well as foreign direct investment in the Jamaican logistics sector. Over the next 40 minutes, we will explore how the Jamaican logistics sector empowers the global supply chain. Today, we will have a great discussion regarding the global supply chain and how Jamaica can allow your supply chain to be more resilient. Companies in Europe have been hit with supply chain shocks as the flow of materials from China was disrupted by the pandemic. CEOs are confidently asking their supply chain teams to develop additional sources that are completely independent of China. Here at JAMPRO, the Government of Jamaica Trade and Investment Promotions Agency, we want to help you to assess the offerings in Jamaica. We have a lively panel of speakers, including Diane Edwards, President of JAMPRO, who will highlight the key sectors in the Jamaican economy and how those sectors can support your supply chain. Edmond Marsh from the Port Authority of Jamaica will describe the Kingston Logistics Park and highlight its benefits to the logistics and supply chain managers. Last, but by no means least, Andy Browning from DP World London Gateway will highlight the importance of diversifying global supply chains and the benefits of using DP World London Gateway Terminal and Logistics Park. The brief but informative presentations will be followed by a Q&A session and then closing remarks from Gabriel Heron, Vice President of Marketing at JAMPRO. Now, we're going to dive in and welcome Diane Edwards, President of JAMPRO. A former Jamaican Trade Commissioner to New York, Brussels, and London, Ms. Edwards has a wealth of knowledge and experience in international marketing and business development. Diane also managed J. Ray and Nephew UK Limited, where she led the organization to successfully grow its share of the UK rum market and increased the UK company's turnover by 77% over 10 years. Welcome, Diane. The floor is yours.
Okay, so I just want to thank Lawrence for that kind introduction and to say to my London friends that I'm greeting you from sunny Jamaica. Having lived in London myself for a very long time, I know how much Londoners appreciate the sun when it makes an appearance. So happy to speak to you from sunny Jamaica. So I'm very pleased to be with you today with an audience of, I know, professionals and stakeholders in the logistics industry to talk to you about logistics in Jamaica and how Jamaica can really play a strong role as you relook and review your global supply chains. So what I'll talk to you about this morning is logistics in Jamaica, the real opportunity of our special economic zones legislation, and then where do we see, if you want to start up business in Jamaica, where are the real factory spaces that you can occupy as of tomorrow? Because after I've finished speaking to you, you will want to come tomorrow. So in terms of logistics and infrastructure, the contribution of this industry to GDP in Jamaica is about $728 million US. The cargo handled is 29.5 million tons, and the vessel visits are 3,561 per year. So the Port of Kingston is alive and well and managed by an international firm called CMA CGM. This is one of the most modern ports in the region, and one of the reasons why we are so competitive is because we are able to handle post-Panamax vessels. These post-Panamax vessels are the 14,000 TEU vessels that you are all aware of. What makes Jamaica also strong in the logistics area is the fact that we have strong telecommunications, strong and stable telecommunications links with the global world. We have 12 shipping lines that call into Jamaica. We are perfectly located in terms of the Western Hemisphere and along shipping lanes from China into the eastern seaboard of the United States. So we really see the opportunity in Jamaica to become the fourth node in the global logistics chain. In terms of our connectivity, which is a key competitive factor for Jamaica, our total capacity in the Port of Kingston is 2.8 million TEUs, which is a real vocation, a real aspiration for us to reach. We have weekly port connections of 100 different lines calling into Kingston. We have 400 international flights, or we had 400 international flights weekly from global destinations coming into airports in Jamaica, particularly the Montego Bay and the Kingston airports. And both those airports will get back up to that level of connectivity as we progressively reopen our tourism industry. So in terms of your reach, by locating in Jamaica, you are able to reach 800 million tourists, 800 million consumers within a radius of a few hours flight from Jamaica and a few days shipping. If we look at the infrastructure, the regulatory infrastructure that Jamaica has developed to support the logistics industry, we look at the ASICUDA system. The ASICUDA system will allow real-time data on imports and exports. We look at the port computer system, and this port computer system allows paperless trading with Jamaica. This system is now in place, and so you can do all your transactions online. We are working in Jamaica on a business environment reform agenda, and that agenda means that we will be able to do more business online in Jamaica. Jamaica will become one of the top 10 in the Doing Business report internationally. This means that doing business in Jamaica is going to be easier and easier as we go through the next 2 years and this program that we have set up. We actually are number 6 in the world in starting a business. So the ease of starting a business, Jamaica is number 6 globally. So your business starting in Jamaica is on an easy and smooth and seamless footing. We also implemented in Jamaica 2 years ago the new Special Economic Zone Authority Act, which I will speak to in a short while. We dredged the Port of Kingston, as I said, to be able to receive these post-Panamax vessels. And so we are on the road to becoming the most modern port in the region. In fact, the Jamaican government has a plan to establish a network of economic zones across the country. And that network starts with the Caymanas Economic Zone, which is close to Kingston, close to the port. There is also a near-port logistics facility, which I will also mention later. There is Port Esquivel, which right now takes bauxite and alumina shipments out of Jamaica. And then further west, there will be another huge economic zone based on downstream products of aluminium. So Jamaica will really become a ring of special economic zones, which will all be connected by a strong road network and strong telecommunications and broadband links. How do we stack up against the competition in the region? I hope that slide is up for our viewers, because that slide really shows Kingston against Panama and Miami. And it's really important. I think this is one of the most important slides in the presentation, because it really looks at cost. And cost, as we know, is one of the big driving forces of investment. So in terms of cost, if you look at the inbound cost, if you look at the warehousing cost, you look at the average labor cost and the outbound cost of a 40-foot container, you can see from that slide that the savings in Jamaica are up to 25%, which is really a huge impact on your bottom line if you're able to make those savings. So I think that slide comparing those three ports regionally is really important for you to take away today. If there's one thing you can take away, it is that 25% savings and increased efficiency from the Port of Kingston. So what about the special economic zones? Why did we set up these special economic zones? We have, under the Special Economic Zones Act, general zones, specialized zones, single entity zones, and multi-occupant zones. The whole point of these zones is to give you an opportunity to operate even more competitively than you would in the customs area of Jamaica. These zones are like industrial parks, so they are fully fitted out, fully retrofitted for factories. And what they offer is a lower tax rate, half the tax rate of what you would get if you are locating in Jamaica. So our current corporate income tax rate is 25%. This is offering you 12.5%. And even better, with the employment tax credit and the promotional tax credit, you're reducing your effective tax rate to 7.5%. In addition, obviously, there is duty-free import and export out of the zone, because you are outside of the customs area of Jamaica and you are not paying GCT on utilities, or that's our value-added tax. So there are key fiscal benefits to locating in one of the special economic zones. And I'm sure the questions will come on that, so I'm not going to go further into that right now. I'm just going to leave you with two very real opportunities that you can access immediately to start up in Jamaica. And one of those is the Kingston Logistics Park. Kingston Logistics Park, I think you will hear more from Ed Marsh about that later on. This facility offers you an 18,000 square meter on-port warehouse. So you're literally on the port with no distance to travel. And because of my past in the merchandise and goods business, I understand how important that reducing that logistics cost of transport is to your bottom line. The near-port lands, there are 40 hectares of land available for development of logistics facilities. There's an attractive regulatory regime. There's multimodal connectivity, because our port is actually situated across the harbor, directly across the harbor from our airport. So the connectivity is very key. And the access to the hinterland of Jamaica by road is actually very strong and very developed. Another opportunity is a modular warehousing complex, which is run by a private sector company, Kingston Wharves, on 13.8 acres. And this really allows you the opportunity to set up a warehouse, to do dry storage, and to do transshipment through the port. We are actually transshipping most of the vehicles coming out of Asia for the rest of the Caribbean through the Port of Kingston. So I think I've given you an overview of some of the opportunities that await you in Jamaica. We think that the Port of Kingston, with its level of development, with its level of connectivity, with its level of efficiency, can stand up against any port in the region and actually will become the port of the future. So we invite you to ask us questions after. We'll be here for the question and answer. We invite you to take a closer look at Jamaica, to contact JAMPRO, and to ask as many questions as you want. So thank you very much, and make it business in Jamaica.
Thank you, Diane, for reinforcing that the Jamaican logistics sector continues to support the global supply chain during this extremely disruptive period. Is Mr. Edmond Marsh, the Vice President of Business Development and Special Projects at the Port Authority of Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Appreciate that introduction. And before that, to Diane, having given a very good overview of some of the logistics activities that we are undertaking in Jamaica. Now, my task is really to bring attention to some more details to what Diane mentioned about our Kingston Logistics Park. Now, some years ago, the government embarked on a very ambitious program to transform Jamaica into a logistics-centered economy, and with the formation of, and the concept of a logistics hub within the region. In fact, mention of the fourth node, you know, to complement other global facilities that are involved in logistics. So this is just an extension of that concept, where the Port Authority embarked on, through its special arrangement and its position within the industry and the fact that we have certain assets that we think would be suitable. So from a strategic perspective, the whole idea is to utilize logistics as a way to transform Jamaica from what has been its historical performance as a transshipment hub, being one of the leading hubs in the region for transshipment activity. And we'll touch on why that emerged as with Jamaica becoming a transshipment hub. And we'll look at the logistics related opportunities, what we have on offer, and how do we make this happen and become a real, and some of the things that we have to do very well. Just to highlight what our vision, but before I do that, let me just give an idea of the Port Authority, why the Port Authority is involved. The Port Authority is the principal maritime agency that has been mandated to the development of a very modern logistics, modern maritime sector, of which logistics has emerged as a big component. Over the years, the transshipment activity was established in Kingston, and we, for the very early years, became a hub for some of the large carriers. And up until a few years ago, this was operated by the Port Authority. Now that has been divested to an international maritime giant, that is same as CGM, and they have done remarkably well in transforming the Port of Kingston, at least the container aspect of it, into a modern facility that Diane mentioned a few times in her presentation. So our vision then is to capitalize on that start and to create an environment where we can provide other enabling activities. The Port Authority also has cargo operations in Montego Bay, and in addition to that, operates and manages, well, not directly, but through private sector input, for cruise terminals starting in Montego Bay, Falmouth, Otrias, Port Antonio, and last year we had the start of Port Royal, which is something that up to COVID was showing tremendous promise as another attraction within the cruise industry. The Port Authority also, through its role as a general agency involved in business process outsourcing as well, and several facilities in Montego Bay. And essentially that evolved out of the free zone concept, which were facilities that were there and converted to supply services to a global industry. So we have always been involved in some global aspect of industries. Then we have to maintain the harbors and ensure that they're safe to navigate, along with the Jamaica Maritime Agency, provide the world-class regulatory framework to be part of an international community. So you can be assured that Jamaica has the modern infrastructure, regulatory environment to support the growth of logistics. Okay, so coming back to the role of Port of Kingston as a logistics center, we emerged some time ago with a vision that how do we transform from being just a transshipment hub into become involved deeper into the supply chain to be able to provide logistics services. So what is it that we want to do is really to provide support in terms of utilizing of these lands. I think Diane mentioned over 40 hectares immediately around the port, and that is what we have been focusing on. And why we want to do it is to leverage the investments that have been made both in terms of the transshipment terminal, the other port, Kingston wharves, that are also involved in global business, and I said a little bit more later on, and enhance the competitiveness of the Port of Kingston. And by improving the connectivity between the port as well as inland facilities. Why would Jamaica be involved? As I said before, the fact that we have emerged as a transshipment hub creates some value based on our location. And in addition to that, the Panama Canal's recent expansion has helped us to add more services and to ensure that cargo within the region can have more than one destination to operate from. So we set about, along with our partners, to modernize the port and the technologies that would be helped to make the port efficiently handle all the vessels that traverse the Panama Canal. So that's where we are today, that we are able to satisfy the needs of clients through using, as the biggest vessels that traverse the canal. We are very centrally located within the region, the Caribbean region. We have similar time zone to some of the big markets in North America. And I think was also mentioned especially in recent times, economic stability. We have quite a bit of international firms showing interest in Jamaica. So logistics has emerged then as something that seems like a natural step in enhancing the competitiveness of Jamaica and our ports. Regionally, Jamaica will be what is called part of the old Transshipment Triangle. The Caribbean basin is among one of the most important trading region within the global trade, in that it handles just about 7.5% of global cargo passes through the region. So quite a big amount of cargo passes the region. And Jamaica, as I see, once you leave Panama, is central to those trade routes. And over the years, we have competed effectively as a transshipment hub against some of the top regional ports, including Panama. And as a region in terms of Latin America cargo, in 2018 we did about 1.83 million TEUs, 20-foot equivalent units, and that the measure of the throughput of the port of Kingston. Tie that to Colon in Panama, which does about 4.3. So, the top 10 big ports would be in Panama, Brazil, in Mexico, and Colombia has emerged as one of the top ports in the region. as well as, of recent times, Peru and Ecuador. So we compete, like most of our business, within a global context. What makes us attractive, we think, or at least one of the fundamental aspects is we're been blessed with being located, literally in the center of two large markets, the North American market, the South American market, and the regional market, which consists of a number of growing economies that are also, which will need to be serviced properly. And as a result, we are very much in the center of some of the big trade routes between east-west and north-south, the major routes that links the port, the various ports across the globe that passes through the canal. So we think we are very well positioned to act as a destination, and no doubt one of the reasons for our success is a transshipment hub. So what do we have on offer? What we have is the intention of an emerging embryonic hub that is consists of air, sea technology platform that will the ingredients of a modern logistics hub. So we have near port lands. Diane mentioned about the special economic zone status that will exist for most of these facilities. We have on-port facilities. We have air-sea connectivity that makes it, just because of the location of two major international logistics players in the form of the airport and the seaport, can do multimodal, complementary services between both large bulk of cargo as well as specialized air shipments. So we think we are well positioned, and in addition to that, we now have international players who are actually running these facilities. I mentioned before the CMA, through its local subsidiary that manages the Kingston Freeport Terminal, and across the waters would be Norman Manley, which was the airport which was recently privatized to a concession arrangement with another international company. Then we have modern port facilities at Kingston Wharves Limited that has emerged as one of the big regional multi-purpose port within the entire Latin America and the Caribbean. They themselves have undertaken significant expansion works. They provide, in addition to make Kingston a full service port, in that all the bulk activities, all the non-containerized cargo can be handled at Kingston Wharves. In addition to that, of late, they have established a transshipment hub for cars, the only one of its kind in this region. So, this is now very important for Kingston being seen as a one-stop shop for all services relating to maritime services. So our vision then is to really enhance those maritime activities with the provision of modern logistics facilities, including warehousing, services, to make Kingston a very attractive port. In fact, when I look at why the interest in this, I recall doing a lot of work and London Gateway, of which another member of the panel is part of. That's what we looked at as being a good example of what we could be, a modern port, a large transshipment port supported by logistics and port-centric logistics. So that's the sort of environment in which we are looking to develop the Port of Kingston. We have been looking to see how can we get logistics, how can we send this message, that Diane so eloquently articulated a while ago about Jamaica. Now, when we try to market some of these things to supply chain people, the feedback was not necessarily sometimes very encouraging. The simple reason that many people are not aware of it, don't know about Jamaican or capabilities as a supply chain alternative, as a solution provider of modern supply chains. So what we embarked on was that we wanted to change that and to build something that people can come and see. So when we go and talk to people, listen, here's something you can come and see, a modern port with a modern warehouses and so on. So fortunately, we have a site about 4.5 hectares that was available on the port. I mean, literally on the port. And we embarked, so we, the Port Authority, along with the government support, to put our money where our mouth is, to say, here is a chance to show the world that it can be done and logistics can become. So we built an 18,000 modern warehouse facilities on the port, which should be ready and available for occupation starting as early as next month. So we are now not just talking about logistics, we are actually ready, and I think Diana said tomorrow, we are ready today. We can have clients start to occupy this facility today. Essentially, it's being done more like a proof of concept to say to the world that we're ready for logistics. And we developed the site to accommodate multiple clients. Happy if we could get a large, client, but we're looking to broaden the scope, and so we have made provisions for up to 4 clients to be part of this facility. As a start, they can use it to test their logistics capabilities. They can use it to map out how it can be done properly using Kingston, and each would be available just under 4,500 square meters of space, with offices and complete facilities that can operate independently and to start. And the idea is that once you taste, once you try, is a concept that is similar to what we do in the business process business, where we have what is called incubator. Clients, potential investors may not be sure that that can work, so they come and test it. So it's a very similar concept. Try out your supply chain, and we think that we know you'll be satisfied, that you'll want to do more, and that's where we are now moving to. Once you have completed this facility, we can make available additional space for investors to build their own or work with us to build their own facility. This warehouse is about, as I said, it's 18,000 square meters. It's on 4.3 hectares of lands. It has a clear height of 10 meters, so the lowest point, and column spacing a minimum of 7.5 to 15 meters, and it's a pre-engineered metal building. There are loading docks on one side, which will immediately adjoining the port, so that cargo can come in seamlessly from the port into these facilities and back out. So there are sufficient facilities there to allow efficient movement of cargo between the terminal, both the container terminal as well as Kingston Wharf, to be able to access these facilities. And then there's a immediate access to modern highway network just next door, literally. So we think that is a good start that will enable interested supply chain architects, people in the supply chain management, to come and test out Jamaica's capabilities on an area where it will be very convenient. It's, you know, and it has special economic zone privileges. It's already set up for that in mind, to look at mainly import-export transformation of cargo from being in a low value to a higher value state. Incidentally, CME on the port has already embarking on some areas of logistics, in that they have established the Port of Kingston as what is called, is in their terms, advanced hub, where it is storing containers near to the destinations within the region. And the idea is that, especially in today's very risky environment that we have found ourselves, to have inventory located nearby markets that are, you know, that will need them on very short turnaround time. Just quickly moving on to say that the warehouse is a sort of first step in our development of our near port facilities and what we term our logistics park. So beyond that initial warehouse, we have the potential to develop, or the intention is to develop a further 300,000 square meters of warehousing facilities on the lands immediately behind the container terminal. That will be made essentially as working with interested parties, private sector firms, developers, real estate developers, third-party logistics, fourth-party logistics providers, and other support services to build out those facilities into a modern park. So we expect to have warehouses, service areas, commercial type activities, and to have a more attractive location to provide comprehensive logistics activities, along with the services needed to enhance the success of the site. But, you know, having facilities alone is not enough. What we're looking to do is to build a modern port ecosystem that will make the Port of Kingston even more attractive than what it is today. So we're looking to attract new products and services. For example, bunkering, ship repairs. Some of these are already here, but we want to enhance these into world-class facilities. Supplies, ship supplies, extensive use of renewables on the port to assist, for example, the use of solar panels to generate electricity for the users, to have a very even more competitive offering. We're looking to attract research and development in areas of maritime analysis, data analytics, and, you know, testing and quality control services, for example, for companies that will be within the logistics park. On the technology side, to enhance our port community system and Asakuda that is already there, with other technologies such as a control tower to look at how to control access and security of the entire area. And of course, we can't operate without other services such as financial, insurance, legal services, human talent, and recruiting to supply the zone. In other words, we're looking to ensure that this ecosystem will provide a one-stop business-friendly environment for logistics companies to operate. We expect to work with the private sector, international and local, global companies that are in the business that will bring know-how and technology and capital, and to leverage their access to markets to enhance the success of this zone. In terms of a business model, we're looking to enter into a range of arrangements with the private sector. For example, they can, enter through a long-term lease, public-private partnerships, or just lease arrangements of facilities. And clients, potential investors can build their own facilities or work with other providers, real estate developers to do so. So that is what we're doing in the port. As I said, our role is to facilitate the development, to act as a catalyst, and to encourage and attract world-class investors to join with our partners such as CME, KWL, and to have a very attractive Port of Kingston, so that we can become far more competitive in our efforts to become what we set out to be, the next logistics hub in the region. Lawrence, thank you very much, and I'm happy to share or discuss further anything that the audience may want to ask, and other questions, to elaborate further if necessary, and provide more responses.
For some great questions, the panelists for substantive responses. I do hope that you have achieved your objectives for attending our webinar today. However, please do contact me after the webinar if you have other questions or would like to receive more detailed information regarding the Jamaican economy and specifically the logistics sector. Now, to close the webinar,